Are South Africans tolerant on the Israeli and Palestine question? Does the South African Jewish Board of Deputies support the two-state solution? What are the prospects of peace under the current land occupation? And how does Israeli Apartheid Week contribute to the dialogue between Israeli and Palestine? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho. Tensions rose between the South African Union of Jewish Students and the Wits Palestine Solidarity Committee at Wits University on Tuesday. There were heated exchanges and physical altercations during a gathering marking the second day of the 2017 Israeli Apartheid Week. The scenes laid bare the tensions that exist between students who support Palestine and those aligning themselves with the Zionist Movement. The Israeli Apartheid Week is recognized globally as a period of solidarity with the Palestinian cause for freedom. It is dedicated to raise awareness of the global boycotts and sanctions against a variety of violations committed against Palestine by the Israel government. We are live and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 0891104210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today is Wendy Khan. She is the National Director of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, and she joins me in studio today. Wendy, hello. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, Mpho. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, the Israeli Apartheid Week, it's an annual event, but what happened today, it's not something that we are accustomed to seeing. We know tensions, boil, but not to the level that, it happened today.
I can tell you that our students are accustomed to this and our community have become accustomed to this. For the 10 years that Israeli Apartheid Week has been operational on our university campuses, we have seen the most terrible intolerance. We've seen speakers like Basim Eid, who was on the UJ campus a couple of years ago, being shouted down. He had to be escorted to his car by the security at the university because the PSC and the BDS speakers at the time didn't like the message that he was delivering. He was delivering a message that was not consistent with their values and their beliefs. And that's what the problem is, Mpho. We all want to have conversations around the Middle East. It's something that's very important to all of us. I think as South Africans, it's especially important. We want to see a resolution to this tragic conflict. But the resolution is not going to come by beating up on Jewish students. As you rightfully said, and it wasn't just Tuesday and it wasn't just today, I have been on Wits campus the entire week, and the scenes that I have seen on the campus have horrified me. A university campus, one would think, is a bastion of free thought, a place where people should be exchanging ideas, listening to thinking that might not be their own, but to try and understand what other South Africans understand. Okay. And that's not what we heard. We heard a silencing of debate. We saw students, and I can see some of the footage that you got, running at our speakers. We had a wonderful young Arab Israeli, Yahya Mohammed, who was out here. He was telling his story. He was sharing the story of an Arab Israeli living in Israel. And what was he met with? He was met with people running at him, screaming at him, cutting the microphone. They cut the cord of the microphone so that he couldn't share his story. Are those the values of a university campus? I don't think so. Okay, so
tell me, what happens with the Israeli Apartheid Week? What do you as the Jewish community do? We know what the pro-Palestinian group do. What happens in your case? Do you also organize parallel events?
So for many years, we've seen this outpouring of hate on our universities. 2013, I think of now, is when they had the Reshev concert, where BDS and PSC supporters ran in, they rammed the door down. The audience members ran out in fear as they were being threatened by these people. The pianist had to be evacuated. 2009, I'm thinking now of when Bongani Masuku from Kasatu came and threatened Jewish students on Wits University campus, and he threatened them and he threatened their families. So this has been going on for a long time. So how do we deal with it? We could just all go and shrivel and climb under the table. We have tried to find innovative and creative ways to deal with it. So we've brought to South Africa some people who can bring some sense to this debate. We brought, as I mentioned, Basim Eid, who is a Palestinian. Let him come here, let him share his story, somebody who's lived through it. His views might not be around BDS.
Sure.
They might be different, but let's engage. We also brought to South Africa last year Mohammed Dajani. Mohammed Dajani is a Palestinian who took groups of Palestinian students to Auschwitz to try and learn from that scenario. And he was threatened. His life was threatened. His car was blown up. He had to eventually flee to America, where he's living at the moment.
Okay.
Top academic. We brought him to South Africa. He shared some wonderful thinking. We've brought many different speakers, people from the Palestinian territories, people from Israel, to come and shed some light on this debate, to try and bring new thinking, because that's what we need to be doing. We need to be engaging, particularly as students. We need to be engaging on these topics, not beating each other up, and not silencing each other, and not going and tearing up Sorges' posters, and not cutting down banners with scissors. And these are all things that we've got on tape, we've got on video. These are all the things that happen.
Well, I guess then our first question is answered. There isn't any tolerance. People are not able to tolerate each other on the Israeli-Palestinian question.
I must be honest with you, there were some lovely conversations. The Sorges campaign is very much around let's talk, let's discuss. They had conversation tables, and I did see some wonderful, wonderful conversations taking place. Sorges brought 6 Israelis out to South Africa. One of them is an Ethiopian, one of them is an Arab Israeli, and there were some wonderful conversations happening with students on the campus. But unfortunately, it's this kind of aggression that we saw this week that I think needs to stop. And it's not just on the campuses. I mean, 2 years ago there was a Zionist Federation conference that took place in Sandton. I'm not sure if you remember. Yeah. And BDS brought in protesters. Most of them didn't even know what they were doing there, as in an article in the Star. But what was very interesting is that we started seeing this aggression again. Get out of our country. You don't belong in our country. We're going to come and kill you. We got all of this on video. I actually shared one of those videos with you. Again, there's no place for that kind of aggression. Let's not import a conflict on another continent to the streets and the university campuses of our country.
Hold it there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue this discussion. 089-1104-210 is the number to dial. Let's hear what you think of the level of tolerance on the Israeli and Palestinian debate here in South Africa. We're talking about ourselves as South Africans, and whether does it serve any purpose that we just talk about this, or should we just leave it? This is Crucial Time.
Britain will leave the EU single market when it exits the European Union. That's the word from Prime Minister Theresa May.
I know there are some voices calling for a punitive deal that punishes Britain and discourages other countries from taking the same path.
She has said leave the single market, then at the same time says she wants to have access to the single market. I'm not quite sure how that's going to go down.
The Security Council received a firm rebuke from Israel's envoy, who labelled the Council's action as inspiration for terror.
Ambassador Danon expressed hopes that the appointment of a new Secretary General would usher in a wind of change towards Israel at the world body, while he boldly declared hope in the new American president.
Okay, welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today is Wendy Khan from the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. She's the national director there. And Samantha's on the line. Samantha, welcome to Question Time.
Thank you, Mempo.
Yes. Yeah,
I just wanted to say, great show as always, and you are excellent as far as your questions are concerned. But just would also like to say to Wendy, and I'm a Christian, to say that we totally support what she's trying to do. Part of it being reconciliation and getting just people to talk to one another. So well done to Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samantha, there on the line. And we're taking your calls, 089-110-4210, 089-110-4210. That's the number to dial. Now, I'm saying, does it really help that we really have to be talking about this subject here if we are, we obviously are seeing scenes that are quite unsavory?
Absolutely. We have to be talking all the time. We need to be dialoguing on this issue. The more we talk about it, we need to be putting attention on it. And, you know, the criticism is always made of us, oh, you're trying to silence debate. No, absolutely not. We have never, ever turned down an interview. Whenever we've been asked to come and engage, when Mahmoud Abbas was in South Africa a few years ago, and we got a call, would we meet him? Absolutely. We had a wonderful 2-hour session with him, and we exchanged so many ideas. When the envoys were appointed by President Zuma to go and try and find some way of sharing the miracle of South Africa's transformation through negotiation, we said absolutely, we want to come, we want to meet them, support them in any way that is possible. That's what we need to do. Okay. But coming onto university campuses and calling Jewish students, as they did 2 years ago, effing Jews and effing kikes, that ain't going to make any contribution to the situation in the Middle East.
Bongi, you are in KZN. Welcome.
Molo mhlekazi.
Baba.
Kunjani?
Ngiyaphila njani wena?
Ngiyaphila.
Ba.
Hayi siyabonga tata uyiphinda lento yakwa Israel okwesibili. Ya biblically ezinye izinto noma ngaba sizithetha izinto iBhayibheli ethe zizakwenzeka.
Okay.
Cha thina funeka sithandazele ipeace njengoba izwi lenkosi lithi masinxuse ilizwe lonke. Ezinye izinto ezenzekayo ethe iBhayibheli zizawukwenzeka sizibona zisenzeka.
That bongi mamela ke mhlekazi. Sithini ke thina into ethi xa sihleli kukho abantu abaswelekayo ePalestina naseIsrael. Sithi lichili iBhayibheli ukuba kuzawuqhubeka into enjalo okanye ikhona into ekufuneka siyenzile.
Hayi undive kakuhle ndithi makubulawa abantu. Uyabona? Ya. Bonke abantu badalwe nguThixo, umuntu obulala abantu egameni leBhayibheli wenza into yakhe yedwa. Uyabona?
All right.
Ya, ubulala abantu egameni leBhayibheli. Kodwa siyabona ukuthi izinto ezenzeka emhlabeni wonke izinto ezithethwa sisibhalo ukuthi thina sithandazela amazwe naba bantu bahlangana sokuthi kuhlangana uthethwe kubuyiswane thina bomthandazo sinemva kwabo ngomthandazo ukuthi makwenzeke.
Bong wibeke yavakala dada enkosi kakhulu. Bongi, they're calling us from KZN saying, well, this is biblical. All we need to do is to pray for peace in that region, and nobody should be killing one another in the name of the Bible or anything. But for us, let us not take sides, but pray.
And I think the truth of this is that we got to find a solution, whether it's by praying or whether it's by talking.
But where does the solution lie? Does it lie with you as Jewish, the Jewish community, or does it lie with us as non-Jewish people who are worried about the well-being of Palestinians and the well-being of Israelis, so that those people can live in peace? Or does this peace lie somewhere in the White House?
It lies in Israel and it lies within the Palestinian territory, because those are the only people that can actually find the resolution. They have to sit around the table, and as much as we can talk about boycotts, and as much as we can talk about Paris talks, and we can talk about all these lovely, lovely concepts, The bottom line is that we need to bring people around the table, just like we had in South Africa, sitting down, listening to each other's insecurities, listening to each other's worries, coming up with solutions that they have to live with. Whatever I think or you think, in the bottom line is that that's not what they're going to be able to live with. They have to come up with the solutions. And South Africa is in a unique place where we understand the concept of dialogue. We understand, and our leaders have taught us, talk, and talk some more. And those are the kind of stories that we need to tell.
But Palestinians are not in a position to talk like we were here in South Africa. I mean, they are locked up in Gaza, they are locked up in the West Bank. Their land gets, chowed bit by bit every other week, and
I think that that's where a country like South Africa and many of the other countries come in. We need to find ways to bring those two parties together. We as a South African Jewish Board of Deputies, we want a two-state solution. We're desperate. We want a Palestinian state. We are supportive of a Palestinian state. There's no question about it. We're also supportive of an Israeli state. And we're supportive of borders that allow each of those countries to live in safety. And that's what we have to aim at.
Capital city?
Capital cities are the things that need to be arranged around the table. It's not for you to decide on a capital city of Israel. You don't have to the ramifications of that, as do I not. But the Israeli people and the Palestinian people, those are the ones that have to come up with those answers. But, I just saw your footage over there of the Pharrell Williams concert.
Yes.
Is that going to help the Israelis and Palestinians to come to the table where you're standing there? That whole Woolworths boycott. Do you remember the whole Woolworths?
Yeah.
What did that end up in? It ended up in a store being looted in Pretoria. It ended up in false shareholder meetings. It ended up in a pig's head being smuggled into a Woolworths and put on a kosher shelf. Were those things going to help bringing the Israelis and Palestinians? All it's going to do is further polarize them, further divide them, and cause hostility between fellow South Africans. And that's what it did. That's what the Woolworths boycott achieved. It caused hostility between South Africans.
So what is my role as a South African in the Israeli-Palestinian debacle?
Your role and my role as South Africans is to keep this on the agenda and to keep this on the table and to keep these conversations going and to keep dialoguing like the students today on campus did.
Okay.
And I saw some wonderful conversations. I didn't know that. I wasn't sure about that.
Hold it there. Let's take Temba. Temba, you're in Cape Town. Sipilo Kondo Ndate.
Ngicela ublame futhi angizwa ke
Qhubeka
ngicela ublame amakhosi la eSouth Africa. Yes, ngicela ukubuza ukuthi amakhosi la eSouth Africa yiwona anikeza ipermission ukuthi uMandela athi lelizwe ligilonga kunoma kuwani okulo. Yayizwa lo njengoba sekwenzeka lento eyenzekayo njengamanje bayabona abantu ukuthi iSouth Africa ilizwe labantu abamnyama abangazi lutho or ngicela ukubuza emakhosini ukuthi yibona yini anikeza imandla ukuthi abe nepermission ukuthi athi lelizwe libhulengwa noma ubani.
Okay, Bab Temba, Dikvile, I'm sure that question would have to be asked to the relevant people. I don't think it's got to do with today's topic. Temba, they're saying he wants to know to whose, or rather, who does this land belong to? Does it belong to everybody who's just walking around on it, and it's actually gone to even an extent of blaming Nelson Mandela for that. But like I'm saying, that's a topic for another day. 089-110-4210. That's the number that we are taking your calls on. Please do give us a call, and would like to hear either your questions or your contribution to the show. 089-110-4210. Now, I stopped you halfway. You were saying, I was
like, what can we do as South Africans?
Yes.
We need to talk, we need to dialogue, we need to learn, we need to find the facts, because there's so much, there's everybody's got an opinion. It's one of those kind of areas. Everybody's got opinions, everyone's got thoughts. And we need to learn about it, and we need to go to reputable places, and we need to ask the questions, and we need to have the discussions. What we don't need to do is threaten each other. I don't know if you remember, it was a couple of years ago, there was a concert at Wits University with an Israeli band. Artist. It was a jazz concert. And outside, the BDS protesters were singing a song called Dubule Judah.
Yeah.
Dubule Judah. Dubule Judah.
Okay.
And they said, which they tell me means shoot the Jew.
Yes.
Unacceptable. And when the coordinator of BDS, Mohammed Desai, turns around and says that's absolutely fine and justifies the singing of that song, and he's still the coordinator of BDS South Africa, we have to ask questions. What kind of organization is this that allows one of their employees to endorse the singing of a song like this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw today, some Hitler salutes there and everything. But let's go to our lines. I'm battling to hear who's got. We've got. Is it Dougie?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dougie. You've been gone for long.
Yeah. I just want to say, I support Israel.
Yeah,
because I am a Christian, number one.
Yeah.
Number two is you want to know who the land belongs to. The land belongs to the Israelites. That is from God's word, not anybody else. The final say lays with God, not with the Jewish people, not with the Palestinian people, but with God. He said he's giving this land to Abraham and his seed, and he repeated that vow, and he even went further. He said anybody who curses Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, God is going to curse.
Now, Dougie.
So you are playing with fire, playing with God's word.
Now, Dougie, what should happen to the Palestinians who are locked up in Gaza and West Bank?
They're not locked up. It's land that's been given to them.
No. In Gaza, they are locked
land. It was given to them by the Israelites. Let's look at the Palestinians or the Muslims in the Middle East. Why are they covering themselves completely up? Why are they always covered? Tell me.
Dougie, that's their dress code.
No, but that's showing you they got something to hide. They're wicked people because they're hiding behind. They think nobody can see them, but God can see them. If they were so innocent, why are they covering themselves up from head to toe? Answer that question for me. And those Palestinians that says they're Palestinian, they're actually Arabs. The land laid bare.
Okay.
Do you know that land was completely bare? It was naked.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 1800s when Dingers went through there.
Okay, Dougie, it's fine. Thank you very much for the call. And I'm sure I must arrange a conversation for Dougie and somebody else who would be able to give us the historical background of the Palestinian land and Israel there. But Wendy, we have run out of time.
Am I allowed to end off with a quick quote?
Go ahead.
On Sunday, former President Motlanthe spoke at a BDS event. And he made a comment which I think is very pertinent to our discussion today. He said, anti-Semitic actions couched in the language of human rights and disguised by its discourse cannot be countenanced. Such actions not only undermine the humanity of a people and entrench a painful history, but also serve to undermine our commitment to principled and moral action. It is crucial that the struggle for human rights be absolutely severed from such religious intolerance and bigotry. And I think that that's what my message is. Okay. Let's have the conversations. Let's try and get the leaders to the table.
Okay.
Let's call for a two-state solution, but let's not take it out on fellow South Africans.
That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew, Modimo Chabasion, Aleta Hand, Ayabachot.
came up with this really cool concept that we both absolutely loved. And it was tennis-inspired, sports-lux, if you will, but still really edgy. And of course, still staying true to who she is as a designer, which I felt was very important.
I am allowing them. If you do not keep your promise, you will never see my children again.
Fiona is a talented chess player. If it wasn't for her community that supported her, she would not have been where she is today. And so it takes a village.
I love working with children. They give you so much joy, and watching them achieve what we ask them to do is really heartening.
Children, Miss Hannigan is gone for good.
Mac Miller, the 24-year-old new school hip-hop international rapper, was shocked when he realized the big following he has in Mzansi.
For a 1-hour dose of entertainment, stay tuned on Trends every Saturday at 12.
Whether you're looking for a restaurant, public transport or a university, a lot of us use our smartphone apps to find the closest one. On Network, we chat to those who play a role in Africa's tech space.
We have taken financial services closer to the people. Yeah, mobile penetration is pretty high.
Apple take 30%, keep 70%.
On Network, we give you Africa's social media and technology news. That's Network with Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time.
SABC News brings the world closer to you.
Sherwin Bryceby's SABC News, Washington.
Jam Whitehead, SABC News in London.
Mzandile Mbejo, SABC, Sochi, Russia.
I'm Sarah Kimani signing off from Kigali for the SABC News.
Other than that, I've enjoyed every single moment of it.
Crisalda Lewis, SABC News at Wits University.
SABC News, Africa's news leader.
It's 6 o'clock Central African time. This is SABC News Prime coming to you live from Johannesburg. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Francis Hurd Peter. Tonight, these are the top stories. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for calm in the debacle over the payments of social grants. Police confirm fake police markings were used on vehicles used in the latest heist at OR Tambo International Airport. Reiger Park, east of Johannesburg, remains tense after residents went on the rampage earlier today, closing off the entire area. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa would not be drawn on the issue of whether Social Development Minister Batabile Dlamini should resign today. He was answering questions in the National Assembly.